I was an official photographer for the Six Nations rugby match between England and Italy at Twickenham on Sunday, and I shot the whole thing on film. Hi everybody, welcome to another video here on Expired Film Club. My name is Miles. Thank you so much for joining me today for this video where I'm going to be talking you through how I achieved some fairly decent results from shooting on film at a rugby match between England and Italy at Twickenham for the Guinness Six Nations. If you're new around here, please do subscribe. This channel is about all things film photography, and if you have any comments about any of the photos that you see or whether you've shot any film at sporting events yourself, leave me some comments and let me know, and I'd love to hear from you down there. But yeah, today's video I thought could just be a little run through of what I got up to, how this came about, and the shots that I took and the gear that I used when I went down to shoot the rugby at Twickenham. It was an unbelievable experience. It came about actually just through an Instagram DM. I was on Instagram a few weeks ago, link in description by the way if you want to follow me on Instagram, and had a random DM request from the official Six Nations account, which I obviously opened straight away, and discovered it was them saying that they love my work and they'd love me to come and shoot one of the games during the Six Nations tournament that's going on right now. And I obviously said yes straight away. It was really cool, and one of the things that they are doing with this tournament is I think for each different game they're getting a different photographer in to kind of capture their unique perspective on the game, along with all the standard photographers who are there from Getty and all those other big image-based websites. So my remit was basically to go along and capture the game, capture the atmosphere in the fans as well, in my own unique style, which obviously meant shooting on film. I took a massive variety of cameras, far too much, and my back did not thank me when I had to walk back for 25 minutes to get to the car after the game. But I think in total I probably had about 6 or 7 different cameras with me, but there was one combo in particular that most of my favorite photos came from. I did mostly 35mm film, but I did some medium format as well on a Pentax 6.7. I had two lenses. I actually had two Pentax 6.7 bodies with a different lens attached to each of them. One of them was the 105mm f2.4, which is a gorgeous lens, and the other one was a 135mm f4 macro, which I intended to use a bit more for close-ups and maybe some portrait stuff of the fans. I didn't end up using it too much, but I shot with those. I also had a couple of point and shoots that I just randomly had loaded with some film that I thought I might as well take along and capture some images on those. I had a Yashica T4 and I had an Olympus Pen EE, which is a half frame camera, both of which, by the way, are going to be available on the next stock drop on my store. Again, link in the description of this video to go there, and there's a cheeky 10% discount for everybody watching this video. I sell loads of film cameras there, and every month there's a new stock drop on the last Friday of the month with brand new film cameras coming into stock, and those are two of the cameras that will be on there for this month, as will be one of the Pentax 6.7s that I was using. Anyway, so go ahead and check those out. Had some other little gimmicky ones. I had a Nimslo 3D that I captured some fan stuff with after the game, and that was fun. But the bulk of the shooting was done with the camera you see probably most of all across my social media, my glorious Canon F1. I love you, Canon. This did such a great job on the day, and actually these Canon F1s were designed with sports photography in mind, because this was one of the first cameras ever to come out with a 1/2000th of a second shutter speed option, which is obviously amazing for live sport because the action is so fast. You want those fast shutter speeds. It's not got any motion blur on the photos when you're taking them. So this Canon F1 was amazing. I'm just going to fire it off now because I just love the sound of it too. Yeah, so this Canon F1 did a stellar job. I mostly used it with a ginormous telephoto lens, which I'll grab now as well. I don't know how much of this is actually going to show in the shot, but this is the bad boy that I used for loads of the photos that I took at the Six Nations. This is a Canon FD 300mm f2.8. Look at the size of the glass on this thing. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, so I found this on Facebook Marketplace a little while ago for an amazing deal actually, and it also came with another lens I use a lot on the day, which is this 55mm f1.2, which is glorious for portraits and stuff like that. But for the action, this was the kingpin on the day. It's an amazing lens, and I also actually on the day coupled it with a tele extender, which I added to the back sometimes, so it essentially became a 600mm lens, which is a ridiculous ridiculous amount of length, but I'm so glad I did because it meant that I could get a lot of close-up stuff. The position that I had was right on the touchline. Luckily, I was pitch side, which was wicked. And so I was kind of at sort of eye level of a lot of the players. I had to be sat down. And so using this, especially when the action was over the other side of the pitch, to get some of that close-up stuff was really key. So this is what it looks like when it's all attached to the camera. A ridiculous setup, and I absolutely love it. The one thing about it, obviously, is it's incredibly heavy. So I had to have a monopod attached to the sort of tripod mount on the lens. I could just rest it on, and then I could sit here and shoot photos like this. And it just worked out beautifully. I mean, there were some of them that came in out of focus. Without autofocus at live sport, it's pretty tough. And the one thing I wish I did have for the F1 was a motor drive, because it's slightly annoying every time you capture a shot to have to wind it on and, you know, keep doing that, especially when you're trying to capture a lot of frames in a short space of time. But it also meant I was a lot more selective with the shots that I took, and I think they came out really well. I mean, I'm happy with how they came out. Obviously, shooting on film at an event like that, and for such a highbrow client, there's always a bit of a worry that the photos won't turn out properly, but luckily they did. Anyway, so the sort of timeline of the day was that I arrived, I guess, around midday. Kickoff was 3 o'clock, but I got there nice and early to meet all the staff, and they could show me around and where to set up and all that sort of thing. There was a media sort of photographer's room within the kind of gangways of the stadium, which you wander into. It's got electricity, it's got Wi-Fi, and so all the people who were working for Getty and for other places like that, when they were taking their photos, they could literally upload them instantly, so that, you know, for social media, there's content that is ready to go right on the dot, which is amazing. I didn't need to do that, obviously, and not that I would have been able to unless I managed to walk in with a load of chemicals to develop the film on the day in a scanner. But so that wasn't so much of an interest for me, because I knew I was going to be developing the film afterwards, although I did set up, and I did take some digital photos on the day as well. Not as many as the film, but I did take a few just as a backup to make sure that I knew I absolutely had captured something from the day. So I was using this very camera that you're watching me through right now, my Sony A7R III, and I combined it with a couple of lenses. The one on there right now is a 24-70 2.8, which I used a fair bit, and I also used this Sigma 70-200 2.8 to capture some action as well, which was cool. But digital was not the main aim of the game for the day, so I was shown to my spot right on the touchline to kind of get the lay of the land. My name was written on the chalk thing on the back of the advertising boards to specify where my spot was. So quite early on, I got myself settled in, put all my kit there, got everything attached, all the lenses and stuff ready, and just started to scope out what I might need to do and some of the angles that I might need to get. Where I was very close to the corner of the pitch, so I knew that sometimes there might be some shots that were kind of obscured, like trying to look through other players to the other side of the pitch, or literally trying to look through the posts as well, and then just sort of went from there. The metering system I find in the Canon F1 is actually really accurate, but the one thing that I always stress in any situation is it's always better to overexpose your film than it is to underexpose it. And to be honest, the tones that you get from slightly overexposed film are really nice. So although I didn't push the film, I shot it at box speed, so I shot it at the ISO on the box as it was intended. I did add a couple of stops more than maybe I was intending to with the shutter speed and the aperture. The film stock that I used for the majority of the shots was Kodak Portra 800. I knew that I'd need 800 speed film, which is the highest speed ISO color film that you can get these days, because the higher ISO meant I could use the faster frame rates that the Canon F1 was capable of. So 800 ISO film and my big long lens. A lot of the time it was wide open, so a lot of the time I was shooting it at 2.8, or maybe I pushed it up to 4. And in terms of the settings of the camera, the shutter speed was notching about a 500th or a 1000th of a second most of the time. Again, I just wanted to get that extra bit of exposure out, and I thought that with the shutter speeds that high, we'd be able to avoid any motion blur, which I did, which was great news. Anyway, so once the game had finished, England won. They beat Italy, and it was lovely scenes. At the end of the game, all the England players came out from the dressing room and walked around the touchline and kind of went up and spoke to loads of the fans who stayed behind after the game. It must be quite a common thing. They also brought their kids out, and they were like playing with the rugby ball on the pitch. It was a really, really nice atmosphere. But once the game had finished, I lugged all my gear back to my car, headed back home, and then yesterday, which was Tuesday, was the day that I went to get all the film processed. And this actually comes with a bit of a deal for you guys as well, because I went down to this place in Wimborne in Dorset called Clicker Snap. Now, Clickersnap is an image sharing website where you get paid per click on your photos. It's great. They've got like 1 million users now and everything like that. It's a very cool business. It's kind of looking to put some power back into the image creators on social media for them to get paid for advertising spots and stuff by people clicking on their images, which is very cool. Anyway, I saw them do a post recently saying that they are starting to offer free film development, which I was intrigued about. So I reached out and was like, you know, would you be up for developing some roles from Twickenham that I shot? And they were very up for it, which was amazing. So I drove down to Dorset from where I live here in Oxfordshire with about 8 or 10 rolls of film for them to develop and scan for me, and they did an amazing job. And what's even more amazing about this is that the free film development is an ongoing deal, by the way. So if you're watching this video, I'm going to leave a link in the description of this to Clickersnap, and this is absolutely no strings attached. I know it sounds too good to be true, but at the moment it isn't. Clickersnap are offering free film processing, and you can even get scans included in that. All you have to do is post your film in and they'll do everything for free. They've invested in all this new gear that requires about 100 rolls an hour to go through it to sort of make it viable for them to carry on doing it. So they're asking for people to literally send rolls of film to them for free for processing. So I know that the cost of film is about to plummet up again, thanks to Kodak increasing their prices in March. So if you want to keep shooting film and keep it somewhat cost effective, then Clickersnap is an amazing place for you, because you can literally send them rolls and get them processed for free. It's incredible. Anyway, the medium format photos I think were cool. Obviously I didn't have as long a lens on those, and because it's medium format, actually when you're shooting something that says it's 105 millimeters, it's actually in real terms less than that. So the shots from the Pentax 6.7s that weren't taken when I was in amongst the crowd and the fans were quite wide of the stadium and the pitch, but I like that. It gives you kind of perspective of how things are at. I did some on the Pentax 6.7 in black and white as well. I just think it all looks very striking, and yeah, really happy with how it all came out. And that just about rounds it up. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and a little behind the scenes look at how I shot a rugby game on film for the Six Nations. It was an amazing process. It was an absolute honor to go down there to do it. Thank you to the Six Nations for asking me to go. I was extremely delighted to be there. I love photographing live sport, and it was just amazing, the atmosphere in the stadium and seeing all the players. It was a dream come true. Hope you enjoyed the photos as well. Let me know if you think they came out okay, or anything you think I should have maybe done better. But until the next video here on Expired Film Club, I will see you very soon. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you soon.